and most times you need to be fast. You need to be fast. You need to multitask also. Multitasking in the sense that, yes, I know that I said you have to do away with some of the skills, maybe reading, but still you need to be kind of look out for the next question, look out for the next thing that they're going to say. Just anticipate. Don't be don't rely on them, because they will end up mentioning the whole options. So if you've had the first one and you're kind of relaxed, then you might be making mistake, because they might end up, and by the time they are calling other ones, you see that you become confused. Have we started? I can't hear anything. Okay. Eunice said she can't hear anything. Trying to see if I can make you understand. Somebody joined without audio. Somebody joined without audio.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Just give me a second. Let me just get this. I'm using my laptop today, so I'm trying to share the textbook. It's telling me is large. No. Let me just get this. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Yes, we've started though. So I'm going to share my screen now. Favor. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Google something something.
Oh. Sorry. It's not looking blurred. Okay. Okay, let me get the MP3.
Good.
Mm.
No, sure.
Mm.
What I say?
Mm.
Able to hear the audio. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Are you able to
Hear
hear
you.
the audio?
I can
No,
hear you.
I didn't hear the audio.
Okay. I didn't hear the audio too.
Mm.
Discussing a project they have to do. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 27.
We're able to hear it now.
Yes,
Yes, you
Hmm.
can hear it.
I can hear,
Bluetooth mode.
but the screen is too tiny.
Okay. So let me. You say it's what?
The screen is too tiny.
Uh-huh.
It's tiny. Is it better
Okay,
now?
it's better. Yeah, it's better now.
It's
It's
better
okay
now.
now. Mm.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. So don't make the mistake of writing it out in words. You are meant to write. Why am I echoing? My voice. My voice is echoing.
It's not echoing for me.
It's echoing.
Okay. It's echoing, right?
is it
Yeah,
going?
it's echoing.
Why is it like that? Okay. Let me see. Mm. Okay. Oh shit. No, still solve it. This is not going to work then. We're going to switch to my phone. So we'll have to use the phone back. Let me share the documents here. That's what we used yesterday. Just okay. And we don't sleep. Okay, so this is the material. I hope I'm not echoing again. My voice is not
No,
echoing again.
Oh,
Okay.
it's okay.
So we are going to section 3. Let me start the audio.
Section 3. You will hear two psychology students called Lisa and Greg discussing a project they have to do.
I hope the sound is okay.
yes, it's
Pause.
okay. It's
Okay.
okay.
So remember, you have to start looking at your question. I'm going to allow you to play for the first one, just number 21st, number 21 rather. So after number 21, we are going to talk about what we heard. What is the answer? So listen attentively.
Section 3. You will hear two psychology students called Lisa and Greg discussing a project they have to do. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 27.
So let me just pause and say this. What are you looking for? So when you're looking, look at the key things you're listening for. The first one says, number 21 says, the students in Akira Miyake's studies we are all measuring in. So please you see all these words. Let me just underline. You see all these tiny, tiny words. All, some, most, majority, few, all those words. Take them seriously. Take them seriously. So if you're listening, there's always something that differentiates. Like now, this is telling you we are all measuring. That means they might put tricks. Normally tricks they use is they might talk about what few are measuring, what some are measuring, what majority are measuring, or something like that to throw you off balance. But remember, it is what all of them are doing, what all of them are doing. So all these small words, most times it as an oversight, you might not really pay attention to them. But that's mostly what they might say. Majority are measuring in psychology, then all physics, or maybe all science, technology, and this. But now, because you've had majority measuring, you might get distracted, or maybe you hear some are measuring, or few are measuring. All those things are all to make you confused. So please, when you're reading, pay attention to what is it, as in the detail. Just read to get the details of the whole thing. Okay, read to understand. That's why I always advise the best way is to read it and explain to yourself. Most when I'm teaching, I always tell my students, use your dialect. You know your dialect. You are Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba. You know your dialect. That you can break it down. You understand it better to yourself in your mind. Just explain what all of them. Hanine, Gbogbo. I don't know how this to say it to Hausa, but you know that's what everybody. You just get it down so that it sings to you. If you can just make a quick underline those words. They are very important. All, it's let it ring a bell. The aim. Now they might say or they might say the overall or some of the reasons, but the second one, the aim. So all those things you cannot also, you know, that they might not say it the same way. You're not hoping to hear aim. You might hear goal, objective, major objective, or something. You might hear something like that. So, but just that's why I say always make it to understand, not to be looking out for the same word when they will mention that word. Look out for when they will mention the meaning of what you're listening for, and pay attention to all these two things. So I'm going to play now. So we listen for number 21. And listen everything they are saying. This one is not the one that you get answer and you look for the next one. This one you have to listen to every gist that they are saying. Don't lose concentration, because when you must have lost concentration, they might not mention something to counteract what you have picked as your answer. So let's listen now.
It's not playing.
Yes, he's still.
Now listen carefully.
You know, that was the time they say you should listen to look at questions. So I it when I now played it was still on. So let me play it now. It's about to start. It has started already.
And answer questions 21 to 27. Okay, Greg. So I finally managed to read the article you mentioned, the one about the study on gender in physics.
About the study of college students done by Akira Miyake and his team. Yeah, I was interested that the researchers were actually a mix of psychologists and physicists. That's an unusual combination.
Yeah, I got a little confused at first about which students the study was based on. They weren't actually majoring in physics, they were majoring in what's known as the STEM disciplines. That's science, technology, engineering, and
math. Yes, but they were all doing physics courses as part of their studies.
That's correct. So, as I understood it, Miyake and co. started from the fact that women are underrepresented in introductory.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard number 21. So what did you get as your answer? Did you
Physics.
get the gist?
Physics. I got C.
C. Okay. So how many people got A? Almost everybody said A. How many persons got? Why did you say A? They said the lady first said that all we are not measuring in physics, that they were all measuring in what is called STAN discipline. And he mentioned science, technology. Then the guy finished by saying maths, but they were all doing physics as part of their studies. Parts. So physics is a part, not what all of them are measuring. Do you understand?
Can we listen to it again?
Yes, I will play it again. So listen to it again. Let me go back a little. Okay.
Got a little confused at you mentioned.
Okay, so I'm going to let it once. This time you're supposed to go through, Shash, so it might start any moment.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 27. Okay, Greg. So I finally managed to read the article you mentioned, the one about the study on gender in physics.
About the study of college students done by Akira Miyake and his team. Yeah, I was interested that the researchers were actually a mix of psychologists and physicists. That's an unusual combination.
Yeah, I got a little confused at first about which students the study was based on. They weren't actually majoring in physics, they were majoring in what's known as the STEM disciplines. That's science, technology, engineering, and
math. Yes, but they were all doing physics courses as part of their studies.
That's correct. So,
did you hear it now?
So the answer is
Yes,
C.
the
Science,
answer is C.
technology, engineering, or mathematics.
The answer is
Yes,
C.
yes, yes.
Guys,
So the
what?
answer is C. You
The
saw
answer
that
is
they actually mentioned every of the options. Every of the option was actually mentioned. You saw that. I think the first thing the guy said was about physics and psychology before they started the conversation.
no.
So
They say they are offering physics as part of the subject, but they all measuring is the word. All measuring. That's the word.
all
All of them are
major,
doing.
yeah, that's the word. Yeah. Sorry, one of us is worried. She can't hear anything.
This thing happened to me yesterday. Tell her to. Hello, ma, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Tell her please that she should go
I'm
to
trying
her
to tell
phone setting.
her can
She
you
go to
quickly
her
drop it on the WhatsApp group? I just tagged her on the WhatsApp group to tell her she's the only one that didn't join with Mike here. So I don't know. I think if you come to the Zoom, it's going to tell you to join either with Wi-Fi or so. So maybe she didn't click on that on the mic.
Let her click on the Wi-Fi or cellular network. Then she can be able to hear.
Yes, I'm in now. I'm in. I was the one that dropped message on the WhatsApp.
Can you hear? Can you hear now?
Yes.
Are you using this?
I was one that what did I don't know. I think I logged in with Eniola.
Okay, I think Eunice have also joined with Mike. Okay. So everybody is sorted now. Okay, so we're good to go. Was a little worried she couldn't. I know she couldn't hear. So Eunice, can you hear now? Can you just unmute? Let me be sure you can hear. Can you hear me? Eunice. Okay, so the good thing is maybe she's not where she can. When I log in, it will log me out immediately. Oh, sorry about that. Probably it's network. Sometimes network is not helpful at all. So sorry about that. She's gone again. Okay, so now we are listening for 22. Number 22. If we do well for 22, then we'll start picking it up too. If everybody is able at 90% got 22, we'll play it, then play 2-2. So let me just move a little back. Okay.
Some physicists. That's an unusual combination.
Yeah, I got a little confused at first about which students the study was based on. They weren't actually majoring in physics, they were majoring in what's known as the STEM disciplines. That's science, technology, engineering, and
math. Yes, but they were all doing physics courses as part of their studies.
That's correct. So, as I understood it, Miyake and co. started from the fact that women are underrepresented in introductory physics courses at college, and also that on average, the women who do enroll on these courses perform more poorly than the men. No one really knows why this is the case.
Yeah, but what the researchers wanted to find out was basically what they could do about the relatively low level of the women's results. But in order to find a solution, they needed to find out more about the nature of the problem.
Right. Now, let's see if I can remember. It was that in the physics class, the female student...
Did you know, what did you hear as 22 answer? Number 22, what?
B.
B. Can you put it on the chat? B. Okay. So majority are hearing B. That's good. That's good one. So we are going to take it 2-2 then. So I'm going to let 23 and 20. Is there anybody that did not hear B? Is there anybody that is, should I repeat it? Is there anybody?
Yes, please repeat.
Okay, so I'm going to repeat 20. I'm going to repeat this 22. So listen attentively. I think when they said the major M, I think the way they said it was I don't know if they mentioned, but yeah, I think it was a guy that said it. So listen attentively. I'm going to allow 22 and 23 to play. So 22, pick 22, then listen also for 23.
As I understood it, Miyake and co. started from the fact that women are underrepresented in introductory physics courses at college, and also that on average, the women who do enroll on these courses perform more poorly than the men. No one really knows why this is the case.
Yeah, but what the researchers wanted to find out was basically what they could do about the relatively low level of the women's results. But in order to find a solution, they needed to find out more about the nature of the problem.
Right. Now, let's see if I can remember. It was that in the physics class, the female students thought the male students all assumed that women weren't any good at physics. Was that it? And they thought that they expected them to get poor results in their tests.
That's what the women thought, and that made them nervous. So they did get poor results. But actually, they were wrong. No one was making any assumptions about the female students at all.
Anyway, what Miyake's team...
Okay, so were you able to get number 22 now and 23, everybody?
23 was breaking.
I think the way they said for that 22, they said what they wanted to find out, which is the same thing as the aim of the study. So that's how the guy said it, what they wanted to find out, which is still the same thing as the aim of the study. Then for number 23, what did you get? Someone said B.
It was
only one
breaking.
person. Someone said
It was breaking, oh.
Was breaking.
The C,
Please replay
Chiamaka, the C, is it for 22 or 23?
That was what I picked for 22 before. I now heard it wrong.
Okay.
But for the
Okay.
23, I couldn't pick anything. It is just quacking.
Okay, I'm going to play it again. So I forgot, maybe some didn't read. So 23 said female student, okay, female physics student, we are wrong to believe. So what were they wrong? What did they believe that is wrong? So whatever it is that they believe, they are still going to counter that thing as wrong. Then 24, they say Miyake's team asked students to write about what did Miyake's team, they did not say any other person, Miyake's team, precisely what did they ask students to write about? So we are not interested in what students are writing about or what other people say they should write about. We are interested in what Miyake's team asked them to write about. So I'm going to let 23 and 24 to play together. Before I stop the audio.
Maybe when I saw him down, get put to head in his job. I have to hang. Maybe I saw him make it job.
Please, I'm not hearing anything. I don't know if it's playing or. Hello? Can anybody hear anything?
No. It's like our network has ceased.
Okay.
Yes, I think she's out.
Okay, because I want to be sure. All right.
No, I don't like using what. I'm back. A call came in, so that was what disrupted the network. Yeah, I don't like using what phone.
Well, Iko agula.
Oh, Abdullah.
Agula.
Ah, again, I want.
If I off your microphone, Iko wagula biko.
Bido we bido se kuwagula ekuwagwala gibiko.
No, wait.
Iko wagula gifai. Aka ya all day too ka aka Iko na biko ije the exam hall puta. Iko be ụgwọ.
Keka mmadụ ga-esi gaa akwụkwọ biko ni keka esi ede dis exam ede sef keka exam hall na dị anyị wa bidoro ijebe bido anyị bido anyị just si ka anyị bido ka anyị gazagodi klas mata etu o si adị.
Mụ aka bidokwara otu isi ka o si bidokwa.
So this IELTS now, will it be used IELTS academic, right? That's what UK accepts. Does every other country accept IELTS academics?
I make I do are you a nurse?
Yep.
I need that's academics, but for maybe caregiver and stuff like that, or general.
Okay.
Or general.
No, I just thought it can be used, this academic can be used for any country. That's where I'm going to.
Okay, I'm a lawyer, mom.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, maybe no. Maybe no. Oh.
Abio.
First English in be by you. Need the Latin so English in be by you. De wala so equal.
Abio. Kí gbogbo àná lè benefit ni.
She just want to know if the
It
is only.
Binu.
Don't worry, we'll not speak Igbo again.
You people are doing
Dialect IELTS.
Oh. Okay. So I'm going to play the audio. Hopefully it's not going to happen again. I think my network shifted to SpectraNet. That one is very bad. So I've changed it. So let me play it.
Co started from the fact that women are underrepresented in introductory physics courses at college, and also that on average, the women who do enroll on these courses perform more poorly than the men. No one really knows why this is the case.
Yeah, but what the researchers wanted to find out was basically what they could do about the relatively low level of the women's results. But in order to find a solution, they needed to find out more about the nature of the problem.
Right. Now, let's see if I can remember. It was that in the physics class, the female students thought the male students all assumed that women weren't any good at physics. Was that it? And they thought that the men expected them to get poor results in their tests.
That's what the women thought, and that made them nervous. So they did get poor results. But actually, they were wrong. No one was making any assumptions about the female students at all.
Anyway, what Miyake's team did was quite simple, getting the students to do some writing before they went into the physics class. What did they call it?
A values affirmation. They had to write an essay focusing on things that were significant to them, not particularly to do with the subject they were studying, but more general things like music or people who mattered to them.
Right. So the idea of doing the writing is that this gets the students thinking in a positive way.
And putting these thoughts into words can relax them and help them overcome the psychological factors that lead to poor performance.
I've even allowed them to say 25, but let me hear you. 23 and 24, what did you hear?
B,
What's your
C.
answer?
B and A.
B and
B.
C.
Somebody said B and A.
B and C.
No. 23 is
Well,
B.
22. I think 22 is C. 23 is B. 24 is A.
22.
What am I
We are already
saying?
past.
Sorry. 23 is C. 24 is B. And 25 is A.
23
Somebody is
is
taking us back to 22.
23 is
22. We've already resolved 22. The 22 is
To
B.
listen 23 and 24.
23 is B. 24 is what's this
B.
one? This is blood. 24 is C.
23 is B. 24 is C.
Okay, yes, I agree with those that say 23 is B and 24 is C. Is there anybody with
Yes.
counter opinion? Is there anyone
Yes,
that had?
I had B.
Yes.
I had A, sorry. For
23
24.
is C. 24 is B. And 25 is A.
Okay, yes, I think 25 psychological to reduce psychological stress or something. So I think, yeah, 25 is A. But 23 is B.
B.
Everybody accepted that B. 24.
Yes.
Is
24
C.
is
Because
C. Yes.
they
Something that
said
was
about
important to them
music,
personally.
things that they enjoy doing, like music or other things.
Yes. So that is C, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
this
Can we
multiple
replay it, please?
Yes, I will. This multiple choice, it seems is going on well. Oh. Yes, CBA. Well done, Chiamaka. Okay, so I'm going to replay.
But I didn't get the answer, boss. I didn't get the answer.
You didn't get the
I
answer?
said 23 C. Yes, 23 C, 24. 24 B and 25 A. I didn't get the answer.
No, you didn't get the answer. 23 is B, 24
That's
is
what I'm
C,
saying.
25 is A.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't get the answers.
Okay, so I'm going to replay it for those that did not hear. Bring her to me.
Anyway, what Miyake's
Focusing on
teaching
things they were studying.
poor results in their tests.
That's what the women thought, and that made them nervous. So they did get poor results. But actually, they were wrong. No one was making any assumptions about the female students at all.
Anyway, what Miyake's team did was quite simple, getting the students to do some writing before they went into the physics class. What did they call it?
A values affirmation. They had to write an essay focusing on things that were significant to them, not particularly to do with the subject they were studying, but more general things like music or people who mattered to them.
Right. So the idea of doing the writing is that this gets the students thinking in a positive way.
And putting these thoughts into words can relax them and help them overcome the psychological factors that lead to poor performance. Yeah. But what the researchers in the study hadn't expected was that this one activity raised the women's physics grades from the C to the B range.
A huge change. Pity it wasn't to an A, but still. No, but it does suggest that the women were seriously underperforming beforehand in comparison with.
So you've listened to 23, 24, 25, and 26.
Huh. I only
25.
I stopped. I had to
26 is
24 though.
B.
26 is B.
Part of physics results for
You see?
women. What? The
You
difference between
see? I'm actually doing psychological testing here. Somebody had 26.
26
Okay, well
is B
done.
now.
Yes, 26 is B. Well done. I'm so
they said
proud
they
of you.
upgraded from B to A or something like that.
They didn't upgrade the body.
No,
to A.
updated from
I'm
to
lost
grade B,
though.
not
Your loss, don't worry, I'm going to play it, but the major thing that I want you to get is 23, 24, and 25. Did you get them?
I got
Yes.
to 20. No, I didn't get 25, please.
25, you did not get it.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I think once they finished 24, they started 25. So they said it had impact on their psychological, to reduce their psychological stress or something like that. So I'm going to play 25 down to 27, 25 to 27. So listen to 25 to 27. So pay attention. After this, I might not play this one again. We'll just go to the next page. So pay close attention. All right. So the person that got 26, I've not affirmed though, I've not said yes or correct or wrong, so that everybody can get answers. Let me be sure. All right.
But in order to find a solution, they needed to find out more about the nature of the problem.
Right. Now, let's see if I can remember. It was that in the physics class, the female students thought the male students all assumed that women weren't any good at physics. Was that it? And they thought that the men expected them to get poor results in their tests.
That's what the women thought, and that made them nervous. So they did get poor results. But actually, they were wrong. No one was making any assumptions about the female students at all.
Anyway, what Miyake's team did was quite simple, getting the students to do some writing before they went into the physics class. What did they call it?
A values affirmation. They had to write an essay focusing on things that were significant to them, not particularly to do with the subject they were studying, but more general things like music or people who mattered to them.
Right. So the idea of doing the writing is that this gets the students thinking in a positive way.
And putting these thoughts into words can relax them and help them overcome the psychological factors that lead to poor performance. Yeah. But what the researchers in the study hadn't expected was that this one activity raised the women's physics grades from the C to the B range.
A huge change. Pity it wasn't to an A, but still. No, but it does suggest that the women were seriously underperforming beforehand in comparison with the men.
Yes. Mind you, Miyake's article left out a lot of details, like did the students do the writing just once or several times? And had they been told why they were doing the writing? That might have affected the results.
You mean if they know the researchers thought it might help them to improve, then they just try to fulfill that expectation?
Exactly.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you
I could not get 27, no.
27 C.
Ah, wow. Wait, who said 27 is C?
Jada.
Who got 27? Jada. Wow. Well done. So,
Because they were not giving the information.
but
where they-
everybody, did you get 20? Okay, 27 C. Harrison, well done. So did you get 26?
26B.
26B, everybody, right?
Yes.
Okay. Joke, you got it right?
Yes, B.
B, okay. Chiamaka,
But it's B. I know 26 is B, but that 27, I couldn't pick it up.
okay, no problem. So 27, they said Greg and Lisa think Miyake's results could not have been affected by. Now, the way they twist English, you might even get confused. Could not have been affected by, was not affected by straight. No, could not have been. So that's why I say it's better you try to break it down so that you understand it, so that you don't get confused, because their conversation, they know how to twist the whole thing and then throw people off balance. So Greg and Lisa think Miyake's result could not have been affected. Shouldn't
Not
have
could
been
not, oh, could
Would
have
have
been.
been.
Okay, sorry, could have been affected by. Okay, could have been affected by. So what could have affected Greg and Lisa Miyake's results, according to this Greg and Lisa?
The information.
So Let's listen again for 27. 27 only. I think, yeah, it's okay.
It's from the C to the B range.
A huge change. Pity it wasn't to an A, but still. No, but it does suggest that the women were seriously underperforming beforehand in comparison with the men.
Yes. Mind you, Miyake's article left out a lot of details, like did the students do the writing just once or several times? And had they been told why they were doing the writing? That might have affected the results.
You mean if they know the researchers thought it might help them to improve, then they just try to fulfill that expectation?
Exactly.
Okay, so I guess
Before you hear the rest of the discussion,
you've heard 27 now, right? It's 27?
Yes.
Okay.
The information that the student were given. But that, they didn't put it straight that the information the student were given. I think they twisted it.
They will twist it. That's why it's English. English, IELTS specifically is about synonyms, paraphrasing.
Yes.
They will really paraphrase it.
If they
They'll
knew
say
about it, that's something like
Yeah.
that. They knew about it.
That's why I say explain it to understand. Hold the meaning. So merge meaning, not a word. If you're looking at hearing word, you will be disappointed. So merge meaning. Get the meaning, read the meaning beforehand, and know what you're listening for. If you can underline, if you're doing on paper here, that reminds me, for our practice tomorrow, I'm going to send the one we are going to use for practice. So you print it out and have it handy. When we are playing the record, you practice. So we practice. Listening is I think is it 40 minutes or so? I mean, was 1 minute. I can't even remember. We just play the record and you do it wherever you are and send your answer. So it's more like a mini mock. Then we'll still give you the ones you do at home. So we're going to send, when in case if I forget after this, to send you down the ones. Those that can print, you print. Those that still want to use their phone, well done, but I prefer you print it. Okay. So we are done with this part. Now, 28, 29, 30. I'm going to play the 3 at once. I'm going to allow everything to play. So let's read it and understand and know what we are listening for. 28 says, Greg and Lisa decide that in their own projects, they will compare the effects of dash. So now you're going to hear or you're going to hear them say what Greg and Lisa decided, or you might hear them talk and then decide on something, that their own projects, what they want to compare, the effect of what they want to compare. Then number 29 said the main finding of Smolinski's research was the class teamwork activities. So the main findings of this research, Smolinski's research, was that class teamwork activities does what? Then number 30, what will Lisa and Greg do next? The next thing they will say they want to do. So, and remember, they will not say the exact way that is being said here. So it's good you understand the meaning of what you're listening for. So I'm going to play the audio now.
You have some time to look at questions 28 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 28 to 30.
So anyway, I thought for our project we could do a similar study, but investigate whether it really was the writing activity that had that result.
Okay, so we could ask them to do a writing task about something completely different, something more factual, like a general knowledge topic.
Maybe. Or we could have half the students doing a writing task and half doing something else, like an oral task.
Or even half do the same writing task as in the original research and half do a factual writing task. Then we'd see if it really is the topic that made the difference or something else.
That's it. Good. So at our meeting with the supervisor on Monday, we can tell him we've decided on our project. We should have our aims ready by then. I suppose we need to read the original study. The article's just a summary.
And there was another article I read by Smolinski. It was about her research on how women and men perform in mixed teams in class, compared with single-sex teams and on their own.
Let me guess, the women were better at teamwork.
That's what I expected. But actually, the men and the women got the same results, whether they were working in teams or on their own. But I guess it's not that relevant to us.
What worries me, anyway, is how we're going to get everything done in the time.
We'll be okay now we know what we're doing. Though I'm not clear how we assess whether the students in our experiment actually make any progress or not.
No, we may need some advice on that. The main things is to make sure we have the right size sample, and not too big or too small.
That shouldn't be difficult. Right, what do we need to do next? We could have a look at the timetable for the science classes, or perhaps we should just make an appointment to see one of the science professors. That'd be better.
Great. And we could even get to observe one of the classes.
What for?
Well, okay, maybe let's just go with your idea. Right, well, I think that's everything for now.
Oh, jokers. Okay, so we are done.
That is the end of section 3.
No,
You now have
I'm all down, Jerry. So what did you get for 28, 29, 30?
A, C, A.
Huh?
Sorry?
A, C, A.
ACA.
Me.
No, A,
I
C.
got B.
Check on the performance of men or women. 29.
I got B, nothing.
BB. BB nothing, okay.
Nothing.
Wow, Chiamaka got ABA. Chiamaka, you're not close to
ABA.
me now. I would have given you a bottle of malt. We are getting the same thing.
Me too, ABA.
ABBA. ABA. That's what I got. That's what I think. Because, yeah. The A, you know, the A, the letter accepted. It was a guy that said the B, but the lady later talked about A, and then the guy now accepted. Even in 30, the same thing. The guy still decided to go with what the lady say. So our suggestion, the lady's suggestion is moving. It's working. So for that 29, it had no effect on the performance of men or women. Yes, that's B. So I'm going to replay it the last time. Especially, I think 29 is what 28 and 30 is not a problem. 29 is what some people got wrong. So please pay attention to it.
Please, that 29.
Ma?
28.
Yes.
I'm talking of 2 different tasks now. The oral writing
Yes.
and the writing task.
No,
And the
it was the guy that said oral task. The lady said they will write about 2 different. They will write about a writing task and another writing task. She did not mention oral. Oral is more like speaking. You understand? But the lady talked about writing, 2 writing tasks. So she described, okay, they will write about this and write. So they are writing. So that's 2 writing tasks. But it was the guy that first talked about the writing tasks and then oral. But let's listen to, I think, okay, I'm going to play it 28 to 30. Let's listen again attentively to all the gist.
Monday, we can tell him we've decided on our project. We should have our aims ready by then. I suppose we need to read the original articles.
something completely different, something more factual, like a general.
Investigate whether it really was the right.
Okay, so let's listen from here. Once it starts playing, it's going to start from.
Now listen and answer questions 28 to 30.
So anyway, I thought for our project we could do a similar study, but investigate whether it really was the writing activity that had that result.
Okay, so we could ask them to do a writing task about something completely different, something more factual, like a general knowledge topic.
Maybe, or we could have half the students doing a writing task and half doing something else, like an oral task.
Or even half do the same writing task as in the original research and half do a factual writing task. Then we'd see if it really is the topic that made the difference or something else.
That's it. Good. So at our meeting with the supervisor on Monday, we can tell him we've decided on our project. We should have our aims ready by then. I suppose we need to read the original study. The article's just a summary.
And there was another article I read by Smolinski. It was about her research on how women and men perform in mixed teams in class, compared with single-sex teams and on their own.
Let me guess, the women were better at teamwork.
That's what I expected. But actually, the men and the women got the same results, whether they were working in teams or on their own. But I guess it's not that relevant to us.
What worries me anyway is how we're going to get everything done in the time.
We'll be okay now we know what we're doing. Though I'm not clear how we assess whether the students in our experiment actually make any progress or not.
No, we may need some advice on that. The main thing's to make sure we have the right size sample, not too big or too small.
That shouldn't be difficult. Right, what do we need to do next? We could have a look at the timetable for the science classes, or perhaps we should just make an appointment to see one of the science professors. That'd be better.
Great. And we could even get to observe one of the classes.
What for?
Well, okay, maybe let's just go with your idea. Right, well, I think that's everything for now.
Okay, so I think it's clearer now, right?
Yes, but the 30, I'm getting B. I don't know.
So let me explain what happened there. The lady suggested that they see a supervisor, a professor,
The
or something.
professor, yes.
So the guy said, or they should observe a science class. The lady asked what for. He wanted to explain and he said, well, let's go with your idea. Do you understand? Which means let's go with the lady's idea, which was to talk to a professor.
Okay.
Do you understand now? Maybe I will just play it again so you listen. So I wanted to say this. Sometimes you don't get to read the options, and running your eyes down the options to pick while you're listening might really distract you. So what I suggest you,
I think that was welcome.
Yes, if you're in that scenario, sometimes in exam it does happen. Maybe you didn't have enough time to look at the question as well as the options. If you're looking at the options, let's say you have time to look at the options, you can just make a quick jot, maybe a quick word. Maybe instead of these two different tags, where you can write a writing oral, and no, something like just a way it's simpler for you to look and pick answer. Or if you are the type you can underline and remember, it also helps. But let's say you were not able to look at the options and you are listening. So don't try to start running your eyes fast. Like I told you, you can't do the 4 things at the same time. You can't even do 3 of them at the same time. You're reading, trying to understand, listening, trying to understand. It might really throw you off balance. Your brain tends to concentrate on one and you miss the other one. So what I would suggest you to do is concentrate on one you're listening to. Okay. You know what the question is all about. Once you pick what they have agreed, quickly jot it. And then later, when they give you time to look at your answers, when they tell you look at your answer, I don't suggest that you start looking at answers. I would rather tell you continue and be reading other ones so that you are ready to answer them. So at the end of the whole task, you have 10 minutes to transfer. When you come, that thing you suggested that was the agreement, the last agreement that they accepted. Sometimes if you see the day I took my list, if you see my question paper, you will be shocked because I'll write, once they cancel that one, I will cancel, I'll write, later you see me tick that one good. If the letter accepted that, that's how far you can go. So later you can now go and check, okay, yes, this is what I wrote. That's, you have to be a fast writer then and use shorthand so that it's easier for you. So later you go and check and then pick the right answer. They will give you 10 minutes to transfer. By right, that 10 minutes is more than enough for you to do all these things I'm saying. First and foremost, transfer all those ones, A, B, C, those ones that you're sure of the answers. You've written the answers on your question booklet, you're sure of it. Then you now come to these ones, you need to merge the meaning, okay, this is what they said. They said he later accepted to talk to a professor. You now check, okay, it's A, you pick A and write. So don't try to combine that skill. It can throw you off balance.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to play 30 back. So before, don't wait for tomorrow. Try to practice. If you need help locating what to practice on the Telegram, you can ask. So you will be helped, but the audio is there. I think I always write ahead in maybe test Cambridge 11 test, so you know that one. So you go to the files and check the textbook. You can download it. If you want to print that particular page, I think there is a way you can pick the number of pages and only save that one, then print only that page. But for tomorrow, I'm going to send only the page that we are using tomorrow so that you can print only that page. Then you can practice all these things, especially multiple choice. Practice how to do it on paper. Because if you're writing paper, that's what you're going to do that day. You're not going to do it on YouTube. So practice it. Practice the multiple choice, map, all those ones that are difficult for you. Practice them and get used to it. Okay, so again tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm hoping 30, 35, 40. That's what I'm hoping. All right, so I'm going to play the last part of this text 3, right? Text 3. So you listen to that last question.
Not clear how we assess whether the students in our experiment actually make any progress or not.
No, we may need some advice on that. The main thing's to make sure we have the right size sample, not too big or too small.
That shouldn't be difficult. Right, what do we need to do next? We could have a look at the timetable for the science classes, or perhaps we should just make an appointment to see one of the science professors. That'd be better.
Great. And we could even get to observe one of the classes.
What for?
Well, okay, maybe let's just go with your idea. Right, well, I think that's everything for now.
That is the end of section 3.
Okay, is it clear now? 30 clear now?
Clear.
Yeah, it's clear now. Okay. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
to tell
clear.
you that they can counter one and come back to that one. Okay. So we are ready for the last section 4. We are ready for section 4. Okay. So this, like I said, IELTS gets tough. All of them, reading, listening, writing tax 1 is supposed to be cheaper than tax 2. In fact, tax 2 gives you more mark, double of the mark of tax 1 in writing. Reading, the same thing. Reading, yeah, the marks are not different, but it gets tough as you progress. Then listening, the same thing. Speaking, of course, it gets tough too. But one, they're asking about your personal life. You know those things. You know things about you. You know where you live. You know everything. Then they will ask you, from there they will not enter about general public in part 3. So it's everything about IELTS gets tough as progress. So this one, if you look at it, might not look tough to you. But I think why it is tough is because it's is on academic topic. And most times it tends to be fast. Most times the answer comes fast. Most times it comes a much later. So you need to also follow. I think everything about listening, you need to listen attentively to everything they're saying. So you know where you are. You can follow up the sentence by sentence. Like this one, if they want to talk about the biodiversity hotspot, if they want to talk about those 3 bullet points there, they will mention the biodiversity hotspot first before they will talk about it. If they want to talk about things under those 2 bullet points, under Lisa Balance 2007, someone is saying something. If they want to talk about anything about maybe looking for hotspot, that's number 35. They will first mention Lisa Balance, maybe a research conducted by Lisa Balance 2007. So pay attention to subheadings. And follow it sentence by sentence. Let's say they are in number 35. You just wrote answer from number 35. Now, the next thing they should be talking about is about the next sentence. So you know where they are at every point in time, so you don't get to be thrown off balance. So that it's not when you are listening for a few seconds, you've not had the answer, you say, oh, Chimo, they've said it. That's because you're not paying attention. Try, and please, I think sometimes what happens is that our concentration span is low. Some of us, our concentration span is low. So you may have to start building that concentration. Try to always call yourself back. Give yourself tasks, not to lose concentration. Try so hard. There are different activities you can do not to lose concentration. You can actually put a task on yourself. Tell whoever is around, okay, I want to listen to this. Just mandate me to tell you everything that they said on this audio. So because you have a mandate to explain everything, you see that you tend to listen attentively to get every detail. So by the time you do it, of course, try and help yourself and be judicious. So by the time you do it today, you do it tomorrow, you see that you will tend to, your concentration span will keep increasing. So you can work on that, so that it's not when they are saying something, before you know it, you're already thinking about what would I do when I get home, and you're already off balance. Please. Okay, so we're going to start the audio. It's easy. I don't want you to get scared. It's easy, but I just want to prepare your mind before we start, so that you don't get to relent at any stage. There is no stage that is easy, please. Okay, remember, instruction is very important. This one, if you heard anything number, you know that you're hearing different. There is no answer. There is no number answer. It's one word. So always look at the instruction. So it's one word. You're only expected to write a word. So even if you hear a number, write it out in words. Your answer should only be word. All right, and it should be 1. So let me play. Are we ready for section 4?
Yes, yeah, I am.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so let me play it.
Section 4. You will hear part of a student presentation about the variety of different species that live in the world's oceans. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
I've been looking at ocean biodiversity. That's the diversity of species that live in the world's oceans. About 20 years ago, biologists developed the idea of what they called biodiversity hotspots. These are the areas which have the greatest mixture of species. So one example is Madagascar. These hotspots are significant because they allow us to locate key areas for focusing efforts at conservation. Biologists can identify hotspots on land fairly easily, but until recently, very little was known about species distribution and diversity in the oceans, and no.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard number 31. What did you hear?
I don't understand.
Key areas.
For key areas.
Remember, we just want one word.
One word. Important for locating. It's for, is it consultation or consulting? I remember.
Consulting. Well done.
But please say it again. No, I did not even get
You are
it.
close. You are
Yes,
so
I heard
close.
it. Is it consultation or I don't even know.
Conservation. I think conservation.
Conservation.
Yes.
Key areas are the targets. Is synonym of targets.
It's actually the synonym that they used. Yes. So I think this wasn't so clear. I'm going to definitely play it again. So
Key
please let's
areas. Okay.
important
Targets.
for targeting key areas for conservation. Yes, so I'm going to play it again. So please let's just listen for this 31. So
Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
I've been looking at ocean biodiversity. That's the diversity of species that live in the world's oceans. About 20 years ago, biologists developed the idea of what they called biodiversity hotspots. These are the areas which have the greatest mixture of species. So one example is Madagascar. These hotspots are significant to locate key areas for focusing efforts at conservation. Biologists can identify hotspots on land fairly easily, but until
okay, is it clear now?
Yes.
Key areas for focusing on conservation. Is there anybody that's confused? So the word we are picking is conservation.
I don't understand the question, let alone listening
Okay,
to
I'm
what
going
they ask.
Start from
I'm going-
significant key areas. Significant for important.
So let me explain now. This is more like a research work or a lecture that they are reading out to us. And then they talked about this biodiversity hotspot. They've located biodiversity hotspot. Then the second thing they said was that it's areas containing many different species. Then they talked about that it's important for I think focusing efforts on conservation, key areas or something. So, but the thing is, we know that they're not going to say it exactly the way it's here, but these are bullet points. It's just like if they are giving lectures and you're taking points. So it's not the same way they're going to say it in the sentence, but we are going to pick out the key word and fit it and put it in. So whenever we put it in a sentence, it's supposed to have a meaning. It's supposed to be grammatically correct, and we just need one word. So for what they said in that second bullet point, they said is important for focus in key areas. Be important for locating key areas for focusing of conservation. And we only need one word. We can't put focusing for conservation. We just need one word, the main word, and the main word is conservation. So by the time we pick that word and put it in that open space, it's going to be important for
Target
locating
focus.
targets for conservation. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to play it now. The sentence, it comes one after the other, just as the way we used to take points when maybe we are in school and everything. This is more like points they are taking. So you can just look at it one after the other. They've said this point, the next point is this, and everything. So you pick the right word and listen for meaning. Also, like I said, listen for meaning so that you will not get confused when they say something that is not exactly what is written on the question. So I'm going to replay it one more time for the last time.
About 20 years ago, biologists developed the idea of what they called biodiversity hotspots. These are the areas which have the greatest mixture of species. So one example is Madagascar. These hotspots are significant because they allow us to locate key areas for focusing efforts at conservation. Biologists can identify hotspots on land fairly easily, but
did you hear that 31 now?
Yes, very clear.
Chizzy, did you hear it?
Understand the logic of the question. Now I understand what I'm expected to do. I understand now. They're kind of trying to explain biodiversity hotspots. Kind of, maybe this
Yes.
is like of biodiversity hotspots. What is like? It's located in
Yes.
Madagascar. And
Yeah, that
I understand
Madagascar
now.
is the example of the hotspots. That
Yes.
Madagascar is the example of the hotspot, and it's not in our writing. So yes, they just mention example, and we know we are
Yes.
still under that hotspot. Yes.
Yes. I understand now.
Okay, so I'm going to continue now. The next thing they're going to talk about is about the Boris Worm 2005. Maybe they will say research done by Boris Worm, maybe, Then the first bullet point they will say there is maybe he identified hotspot for large ocean predators like sharks. Then they might say that he found that ocean hotspot. Then like they might say things like such as or anyhow, for instance, or whatever. Then the first thing is we are always reaching that. So we want to know what ocean hotspots are rich in. We want to know. Our 32 answer should be what they said. One house, please. One house, please. One house, please. Okay. Let me just mute. So 32, we want to know what this ocean hotspots, what are they rich in? Is it protein? Is it gas? Is it oxygen? Is it carbohydrate? Whatever. We want to know what they will say is rich in. Then we want to also know that they had higher temperature at the dash. At what time? Is it afternoon, morning, afternoon, night? When do they have higher temperature? So you making guesses helps you to stay focused. It helps you to can try to make some guess. Could it be? It helps you to understand what you're listening for and stay focused. Then they say it has sufficient dash in the water. Is it sufficient food or oxygen or what? You can just imagine all those things. It helps you to stay focused. So we are listening for 32, 33, and 34, please. We are listening because they are likely going to say everything together. So we are listening for these 3 questions. All right. Let me play the audio.
Till recently, very little was known about species distribution and diversity in the oceans, and no one even knew if hotspots existed there. Then a Canadian biologist called Boris Worm did some research in 2005 on data on ocean species that he got from the fishing industry. Worm located 5 hotspots for large ocean predators, like sharks, and looked at what they had in common. The main thing he'd expected to find was that they had very high concentrations of food, but to his surprise, that was only true for 4 of the hotspots. The remaining hotspot was quite badly off in that regard. But what he did find was that in all cases, the water at the surface of the ocean had relatively high temperatures, even when it was cool at greater depths. So this seemed to be a factor in supporting a diverse range of these large predators. However, this wasn't enough on its own, because he also found that the water needed to have enough oxygen in it. So these two factors seemed necessary to support the high metabolic rate of these large fish.
Okay, so I'm sure you've heard 32, 33, and 34. What did you hear? What's the answer?
Food, water, and oxygen.
Food,
32.
depth,
Food, water,
and oxygen.
I had food, cool, oxygen.
food, water,
I had
oxygen.
food, greater depth and oxygen. Food, greater depth and oxygen.
It can't be two words, so no two words,
One
please.
word.
I had food, cool, oxygen.
Food, surface, and
So
oxygen.
if you say cool, if you put 33 now, cool, the sentence is going to be had higher temperatures at the cool.
Cool.
That doesn't sound right. So something is
I had
missing.
food,
At the
water,
depth.
oxygen.
Surface.
Had high temperature.
Okay. I think I heard them say that the surface was relatively high in temperature.
True.
The surface
Yeah,
was
yeah,
relatively
that's
high
what
in
I mean.
temperature.
Surface.
So that means
True.
the higher temperatures are the surface
Surface.
for that number
That's what
33.
Okay.
We are going to play it back. Oh, don't me. don't let's listen for your own. Be sure of what you're hearing. I want you to be sure. Then number 34 had sufficient dash in the water.
Oxygen. Oxygen.
Oxygen.
Oxygen.
Then number 32
Food.
food. Yes, okay. So I'm going to play so that we will hear that 33 very well. Hear it very well. Yeah, the way they said it. Because one thing now, if you notice one thing now is they've been saying it normally. Maybe we are relatively rich in food. Then this one, they decided to take the surface and they made and say the surface had relatively high temperature. So you see, that should also teach you, going back to what you failed, we teach you to know that they can even say this sentence this way. It makes you to be more, as in your expectation to be like, okay, you expect that kind of thing also. So we are going to listen to that 33, the way they twisted the sentence that might throw people off balance. All right, so I'm going to play it again for 32, 33, and 34.
On data on ocean species that he got from the fishing industry. Worm located 5 hotspots for large ocean predators like sharks and looked at what they had in common. The main thing he'd expected to find was that they had very high concentrations of food, but to his surprise, that was only true for 4 of the hotspots. The remaining hotspot was quite badly off in that regard. But what he did find was that in all cases, the water at the surface of the ocean had relatively high temperatures, even when it was cool at greater depths. So this seemed to be a factor in supporting a diverse range of these large predators. However, this wasn't enough on its own, because he also found that the water needed to have enough oxygen in it. So these two factors seemed necessary to support the high metabolic rate of these large fish. A couple of years later,
Okay, we are clear about that, right?
Yes.
He said the water on the surface. He said the water on
Yes.
the surface.
Had
He
high
said the water on the
temperature.
surface had high temperature. It's not the surface, but the water on the surface. That's what. Let's listen. He said the water on the surface.
Good evening, sir.
Relatively temperature of the water. If we should put water now, it's going to be had relatively have had higher temperatures at the water. Does it sound better?
At the surface.
So I
No, he said
think
the water on the. He used the two words. The water on the surface. Just that they are looking for one word. If not,
yes,
it's water
so
on the
is that one word.
surface.
Yes, is that one word? You pick the one word that fits in better, the main word. Now we know that what they are doing, the research they are doing is on ocean. So ocean is water. So we are looking for the main word that will pick, that will make our sentence complete and meaningful. We're going to check the answer, don't worry. I think let's just check the answer so that we are comfortable with what we heard. For that, That's 30. Okay.
Our
let
eyes
me-
see the other answer. So
No, close your eyes for the other answers, please. Close your eyes for the other answers.
just check and tell us.
I'm going to try so that I will take the other ones out. I will not show everything. I'm going to try, but in case. But trust me, once they start saying this now, you might not remember what you've seen. Okay, so let's go down. Okay, so 31 is conservation, 32 is food or foods, 30. Okay, so I think it's okay like this. 31 is conservation, 32 is food or foods, 33 is surface. So it's actually surface. Suffix is the word. Yeah, they mentioned two words, but it's one word that will fit in and make sense. The main word. There's always a word that is qualifying the other ones. Like let me say which word now, which two collocations, they call them two words that go together, collocations, but you will see that one is actually qualifying one. So is that main one that you're going to pick? Maybe water fish or water boat. If you let me say for instance ocean boat, for instance, the main word is boat, that is boat. So is the main word that you're going to pick. If you hear two words like that, analyze the main word and pick the main word. Then oxygen is 34, like we all know. So I think we are clear on this. Clear? Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's continue. Let's listen to other ones. I'm trying to stay back. We are listening for 35 and 36. 35 and 36.
In 2007, a researcher called Lisa Balance, who was working in California, also started looking for ocean hotspots, but not for fish. Interested in was marine mammals, things like seals, and she found 3 places in the oceans which were hotspots. And what these had in common was that these hotspots were all located at boundaries between ocean currents. And this seems to be the sort of place that has lots of the plankton that some of these species feed on. So now people who want to protect the species that are endangered need to get as much information as possible. For example, there's an international project called the Census of Marine Life. They've been surveying oceans all over the world, including the Arctic. One thing they found there, which stunned other researchers, was that there were large numbers of species which live below the ice, sometimes under a layer up to 20 meters thick. Some of these species had never been...
Okay, so I think we've heard the
Number
5
36
and 10.
layer.
Mamas and eyes.
Mamas and eyes.
Layer.
Mamas and eyes.
Okay. Okay. This one seems very, very simple. Is everybody's opinion? Is everybody that is confused?
I miss my life.
Mamas and eyes.
Under the layer.
Under the layer. Is it under the layer? That's what you heard.
Yes.
No, No, no. It's under the eyes. I'm going to play it again, though. Mammals and eyes. Yes, mammals and eyes, Joke. That's correct. So I'm going to play it one more time. Pay close attention to what they say.
John, to be the sort of place that has lots of the plankton that some of these species feed on. So now people who want to protect the species that are endangered need to get as much information as possible. For example, there's an international project called the Census of Marine Life. They've been surveying oceans all over the world, including the Arctic. One thing they found, which stunned other researchers, was that there were large numbers of species which live below the ice, sometimes under a layer up to 20.
So they live below the ice. So look at the question, look at the statement. It said found new ocean species living below the ice. So under the ice is the same thing as below the ice. But they said sometimes under the layer, sometimes. But what we are sure of is below the ice. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes under the layers of the ice or whatever, maybe they are going deeper, but we're not looking at where they sometimes live. We are looking at where the species are living, and they say it's under the ice. Under there's a living below the ice or something. I think that's how they said it. Okay.
All over the world, including the Arctic. One thing they found there, which stunned other researchers, was that there were large numbers of species which live below the ice, sometimes under a layer up to 20 meters thick. Some of these species had never been seen before.
So I think it's clear.
Yeah, it's clear, but let me play that 35 again. 36 is
35.
clear.
Okay.
Seems necessary to support the high metabolic rate of these large fish. A couple of years later, in 2007, a researcher called Lisa Balance, who was working in California, also started looking for ocean hotspots, but not for fish. What she was interested in was marine mammals, things like seals. And she found 3.
Did you hear it?
Marine mammals, yes.
It said not for fish. Yes.
Marine mammals.
Yes. Okay, so we are good to go with this section. Let's look at number 37 to 40. I think we can take these 4 questions at once, but let's look at what we are listening for. So they say the subtopic is global. The first one is global marine species assessment. So the first bullet point say want to list endangered ocean species, considering. So they want to list ocean species that are in danger, and they are considering the first one the population size, second one the geographical distribution, the third one, rate of dash. So we want to see rate of what? Is it rate of multiplication or rate of what? We don't know. Then they say the aim. Now they can say the objective or the goal. The aim is to assess 20,000 species and make a distribution dash for each one. So what are they distributing to these 20 species that they are assessing? That is our 38. Then the next subheading is recommendations to retain ocean biodiversity. So what are the recommendations? The first one, increase number of ocean reserves. Second one, establish dash corridors for turtles. So what corridors are they establishing for turtles? Then turtles. Then reduce fishing quotas, and lastly, to catch fish only for the purpose of dash. So the fish they are catching, only fish that they want to catch, is it for purpose of what? So that is the things we are listening for. I'll play the audio now so we can finish up the record.
We even found species of octopus living in these conditions. And other scientists working on the same project
but researching very different habitats on the ocean floor have found large numbers of species congregating around volcanoes, attracted to them by the warmth and nutrients there. However, biologists still don't know how serious the threat to their survival is for each individual species. So a body called the Global Marine Species Assessment is now creating a list of endangered species on land, so they consider things like the size of the population, how many members of one species there are in a particular place, and then they look at their distribution in geographical terms, although this is quite difficult when you're looking at fish because they're so mobile. And then thirdly, they calculate the rate at which the decline of the species is happening. So far, only 1,500 species have been assessed, but they want to increase this figure to 20,000. For each one they assess, they use the data they collect on that species to produce a map showing its distribution. Ultimately, they will be able to use these to figure out not only where most species are located, but also where they are most threatened.
So I just noticed that 4 at the same time might not work. So let's just pause. 37 and 38. What did you hear? 37 and 38.
Decline and data.
Distribution data.
Decline and data.
I heard map for 38. Did you hear data?
Yes, I had
map.
map, species and map, rate of species and map.
They want to use the data and make a map. So they are making a distribution map, the map for distribution. So they want to, I know they mentioned data. They want to use the data they got from assessing them to make a map for distribution. So they're making a distribution map for each one. So 37, everybody got decline, right?
No,
Yeah.
37, I got species.
Species. If you put species there, it's not going to sound right. Rate of species. Species what? It's going to be like species what? So maybe they said rate of species decline. So the main word there is decline.
Okay.
Rate of decline, yes, because we know the bullet points are all under look at the first bullet point. We want to list endangered ocean species. So they are considering these things on those species. So no need repeating the species. The main word to pick from that species decline is the decline. That's the main word to pick. And when you put it, it sounds better than rate of species. Somebody is going to say it's not a complete sentence. Is it rate of species what? But rate of decline is better. So you actually heard, but you picked the wrong word.
Okay.
So I'm going to play it back. So we'll make those corrections and then listen for 39 and 40. If you look, you see that they are following the bullet points. That's why I say follow them. When they mention a global marine species assessment, they mention the first bullet point. Then they mention firstly, secondly, and thirdly. So they are mentioning it as they are talking. Following it also might help you so that you know that they've not, like in that after population size, they said something else that is not here before geographical distribution. If you're not following them, you might be like, maybe they've gone so far. So you can follow the conversation so you know where they are at each point in time.
Around volcanoes, attracted to them by the warmth and nutrients there. However, biologists still don't know how serious the threat to their survival is for each individual species. So a body called the Global Marine Species Assessment is now creating a list of endangered species on land, so they consider things like the size of the population, how many members of one species there are in a particular place, and then they look at their distribution in geographical terms, although this is quite difficult when you're looking at fish because they're so mobile. And then thirdly, they calculate the rate at which the decline of the species is happening. So far, only 1,500 species have been assessed, but they want to increase this figure to 20,000. For each one they assess, they use the data they collect on that species to produce a map showing its distribution. Ultimately, they will be able to use these to figure out not only where most species are located, but also where they are most threatened. So, finally, what can be done to retain the diversity of species in the world's oceans? Firstly, we need to set up more reserves in our oceans, places where marine species are protected. We have some, but not enough. In addition, to preserve species such as leatherback turtles, which live out in the high seas but have their nesting sites on the American coast, we need to create corridors for migration so they can get from one area to another safely. As well as this, action needs to be taken to lower the levels of fishing quotas to prevent overfishing of endangered species. And finally, there's the problem of bycatch. This refers to the catching of unwanted fish by fishing boats. They're returned to the sea, but they're often dead or dying. If these commercial fishing boats used equipment which was more selective so that only the fish wanted for consumption were caught, this problem could be overcome. Okay, so does anyone have any questions?
Okay, so does anyone have any question? What did you hear? Are you clear about
Migration.
it?
Migration and consumption.
Yes, migration, consumption. 37, 38, all clear, right?
Yes.
Is there anybody that got a different answer for 39 and 40?
I got for 40, I got consumption, but for 39, I didn't get that.
Okay, so 39, I thought as more the way they said it, they said they should establish, they mentioned tortoise and blah, they said a lot of stories before they came back to the corridors for migration. I think they said corridors for migration. So which is still the same thing as establish migration corridors for tortoise, for turtles. So let me play it back for you so that you can listen to that. Yes. Yes.
In addition, to preserve species such as leatherback turtles, which live out in the high seas, but have firstly, for each one they assess, they use the data they collect on that species to produce a map showing its distribution. Ultimately, they will be able to use these to figure out not only where most species are located, but also where they are most threatened. So, finally, what can be done to retain the diversity of species in the world's oceans? Firstly, we need to set up more reserves in our oceans, places where marine species are protected. We have some, but not enough. In addition, to preserve species such as leatherback turtles, which live out in the high seas, but have their nesting sites on the American coast, we need to create corridors for migration, so they can get from one area to another safely. As well as this, action needs to be taken to lower the levels of fishing quotas to prevent overfishing of endangered species. And finally, there's the problem of bycatch. This refers to the catching of unwanted fish by fishing boats. They're returned to the sea, but they're often dead or dying. If these commercial fishing boats used equipment which was more selective so that only the fish wanted for consumption were caught, this problem could be overcome. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about?
I think that is the end of it. Is anybody that is confused of this whole thing?
No. No confusion.
The whole question, I hope everything, you understand the whole strategy for any of these questions. It's clear enough, right? You can practice. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to look at for practice, I want something that is quite similar to what we just did. Some of the questions are just multiple choice and this sentence completion most times. So map is not always regular. Is this one that I found that have map and other questions? But you still practice this particular one we did do. Just go and listen to it on your own. Is this, I think it's this, okay, true false not given. This is actually reading.
Please, ma, I have a question now.
Okay,
Is it
go ahead. So I
this
think this listening makes sense. This is, and maybe I will share this, the test two. The test two makes sense because it has a, sorry ma, I'm going to attend to you shortly. So it has a plan. So sometimes you might see a diagram, it could be a plan, it could be a map, but just know you are not, most times you're not going to, if it's diagram, you know definitely it's diagram. Now you're not walking around. Map, still the same thing. Somebody that show you
Hello.
I think she's disconnected again.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Because if you check the participants, she's not here.
hello, please you go ahead with your question.
To ask the exam, is it only listening? I think they have many sections. Is there no a place where you can read and answer the questions or stuff like that, like reading or aspect of it? Because from what we have been practicing, only listening to what they speak and answer the question. Is that the way it is?
Yes, it's the way it is. You will listen to it and listen to what they say and then answer the question. That's how listening is being done.
Okay, it has sections, listening, and does it have reading too?
IELTS has 4 modules. We have listening, we have reading, we have writing, we have speaking. So the tests are all different. If you're writing, if you're doing the writing listening task, this is how the listening task. The listening tasks have a 4 section also, just as we did section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4. Then after the listening on that day, it's about 40 minutes or thereabouts, 30 minutes and then 10 minute time or so. Then after listening, the next thing you're going to do is reading. You'll be reading and then answering questions they ask you based on what you have read, based on the test. So we are still going to tell you strategies to do that one because the timing is mostly not always enough. I think most people have issue with timing. So there are strategies you also use, know which one to do first. So there are some questions you will take first. It's going to help you in answering the other type of questions. Also, it's going to make it easier for you. And of course, how to approach everything. Then we have the next one is usually writing. So they will give you a question. If you're writing general, it's usually letter, and then the task 2 is the same thing for both general and academic. It's usually essay. So section 1 and section 2 for writing. So that one you see question. If it's a letter you write, if it's an analytical essay, for those writing academic, you're going to write 2 essays. Section 1 is analytical essay. They will give you something to analyze. It could be a map, it could be a line graph, it could be pie chart or histogram, or they would ask you to analyze it. And then you still write essay for section 2. Then for speaking is in 3 parts. Part 1, they will ask you a question about yourself. Part 2, is a long turn. They will ask you, and then you will have to talk for about 2 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes, but we'll practice for 2 minutes. Talk non-stop for like 2 minutes on that topic. Then part 3 is usually general topic. They might ask you things like maybe why is population on the increase, general reason why, general facts. So that's basically it. So the one we are doing now, according to the timetable, is listening. We've done listening yesterday, we've done listening today. The next time we are going to come back, we are going to be practicing these things. Even as we are done listening, we are going to be doing daily assignments. If you are up and doing with it, you're definitely going to familiarize with everything listening. So subsequently, we'll be giving you assignment on listening. And we also prompt you, even if you don't get, go to that place, pick up something and listen. There are a lot of things you can give yourself, do your own personal practice plan. Every day I must practice, and also write down your scores. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? What's the issue? And if you listen to a particular one, after getting the whole answers, don't play back when you're listening. Just train yourself not to play back. After listening for the whole section, 4 sections, then you can decide to go back and listen to the ones you failed. Find out why you failed it, so that you're going to also learn how they can twist the questions and everything. Then always record your scores, okay? So see if you're going up or down or something like that. And also so that you get to know other questions, because there are still, you can see table, though that one is not an issue because it's similar to sentence completion. It's still sentence completion, but they are going to put it in a tabular form and then give you subheadings, and then you're meant to, but they are definitely going to mention the subheadings as they are talking. So if there's anyone that you find new and difficult, you bring to our notice, we are going to still mention it during the class. So that's basically it about Ielts. And we are going to, I think the next thing we have is writing. Yeah. Maybe I will just resend the timetable after now.
Okay, ma.
So the one we just did, this is how it's been done.
Okay. In the exam,
Go ahead.
the listening, they usually repeat those conversations. Hello, ma.
Yes, hello.
I said, do they usually, the way we are repeating, is that the way they repeat in the exam hall, or they just...
No, you don't play back. That's what I'm saying, that don't form the habit of playing it back. The audio is played once only. You don't play back. So we are playing back to carry everyone along so that you understand the errors you've made. You don't even have control over it. Everybody's listening to the same audio with your headset on. So it's played once only. So that's why we are teaching the tips on how to do it so that you answer it once. And we also tell you practice as many times as possible and don't play back. We're only playing back so that we carry everybody along. You hear how it is being twisted, how they said it, and everything. So that's basically why we are playing back. It's just more like teaching. So normally it's not being played back. And when you're taking your own test, it won't be played back for you. Even when you're practicing, don't play it back. So even if you want to play back at the end of the day, let it be that you want to make corrections. You want to know how did they say this that I couldn't hear it. By the time you see, okay, this is how they can also twist this question, it also registers. Then subsequently, reduce playing back so that you don't end up being training your brain to expect it to be played back. Do you understand?
Okay, ma.
Is there any other question? Is any other question? So no other question. I'm going to drop this audio. So we already have the textbook. I'm just going to forward the rest of this audio to the group. And let me just take time now to explain about this our Telegram channel, please. Let me just explain it so that you don't get confused on how to access materials there. I'm going to share my phone with you. So, okay, Telegram. So this is the group. Where is that group? This is the group. When you click on it, so here, the first, I think the last one I sent here is Cambridge 11 test 2. This is the one we are doing tomorrow. Cambridge 11 test 2. I'm going to still forward. I'm going to be the one to play it, except the second coach is taking you people tomorrow. I think she might take you people tomorrow. If that happens, then I will give it to you as assignment. Then if you scroll up, this is Cambridge 11 listening audio test 1. This is the one we just did. Cambridge 11 test 1.
Nothing
Okay,
showing,
scroll
it's just
up.
blank.
You're not seeing anything?
I can't see anything though.
Oh, I know why. You know, they this is actually protected. That's why. Oh my goodness. Okay, so do I have any other option? Okay, maybe I think I can use my laptop to show you. The content are protected. That's why it's not showing. So I'm just going to maybe I'm going to do a record after now and send. So, but you're seeing my screen now, Abby?
No, nothing.
You're seeing everything? Nothing
No,
yet?
nothing.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to do a record with my phone. I'm going to video because I doubt if that's possible here. I'm going to record the screen on how to access those materials and send down to the group so you won't have issues accessing it. There is an option for files. I want to do that now so that I know that, because this is being recorded, so that you just have it in case if you want to go back to this. Just give me a second. Is there anybody writing IELTS this month? Is there anybody that booked for August? Is there anybody that wants to book for August? What about September? Okay, so everybody wants to get ready. Okay. Let me see if I can share this Telegram. Can you see it?
Yes, you can start.
How do I locate groups here now? How do I locate groups here? Supposed to search here. Uh, okay. July index. July. This is not the gram. I can't see how to access it here. Supposed to get. Yes, here it is. So this is the group. I may not be so clear here because it's okay. So what I was showing you, the last, you can see the screen very well, right?
Not very well, but
So the
it's okay.
last one here is Cambridge 11 test 2. So this one is Cambridge 11 test 2 for these 4 audios. Remember, it's 4 sections. We have section 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 audios. And this is for Cambridge 11 test 2. And look at the textbook here. This is the textbook, Cambridge 11 textbook. So if you download the textbook, see, you can be able to download it here. So after downloading it, you can now scroll down to the test 2. So the first one, the one we just did is test 1. The next test is test 2. And that's the one I said I want to give you people as assignments. Then look at this one is Cambridge 11 listening audio. So this is the listening audio. Test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4. So scroll up. There are resources here that are very helpful. If you go from the top, you will see most of these things on listening. You can listen to audios on listening, tutorial audios on listening also that will help you improve. Then let's say you want to get all the audios, click on this heading. Then on WhatsApp, on your phone, this screen is going to show more. So you see the name of subscribers, media. Now media is anything video that I've sent so far, or pictures. Then files is where you will see all the textbooks. So if you want Cambridge 11, you can download this. This one is C15 listening test 1. So this is Cambridge 15 listening test 1, Cambridge 15 general reading test. So if you just want specific ones, you can also get Cambridge 13. Now for those writing academic, and general. For the only difference in academic and general is the writing tax 1 and the reading test. The reading test for academic is different. The writing tax 1 is also different. That's the major difference. Speaking and listening is still the same thing. Then these are all essential textbooks for that can help you. So the Cambridge materials, all the textbooks, you can choose the one you want. Okay, how to plan your paragraph, essay structure, masterclass. So any kind of textbook you want.
This is
I am
breaking.
sure that
It's breaking seriously.
the screen on my voice. The screen on my voice. Can you hear me? So these are the textbooks. Then if you want anything audio, you go to music. That's where you get audios. If you want to get audios. If you're not comfortable with going through music, you can simply scroll here. Scroll here, all the listening tests. Once I send it, I label. So you see sample of all the types of listening, all of it, all the types of listening. You will see the sample, you see audio. Okay, if you want to practice all the types. So this is audio for Cambridge 11 test 4. All the audios are also labeled. Cambridge 11 test 3. So if you want textbook, just come to file and get textbook. I hope it's clear. I hope it's clear.
Breaking, honestly, I couldn't pick anything. It was really breaking.
But you can hear me now.
But we'll still go. I'll still go to this. It was really.
If you just go and you don't understand anything, you can
It's still
ask
breaking now.
question on the group. Okay, no problem. Thank you, everyone. I think we have to call it a good night then.
Yes, so
bye, everyone.
good night. Yeah.